People, even bond traders are buying Bitcoin. Even bond traders are buying gold. I have a lot of clients in New York that all they do is handle large endowments, the biggest endowments in the world. And they told me in March that gold will be one of the great investments. They believe that Bitcoin will be one of the great investments in 2020. And these are people that don't necessarily aren't looking at it. And the reason they knew it is because bond traders said, I'm going to get out of the bond market right now. They're going to get money cheap. I'm going to move into gold. Gold is the natural place to go during this situation. So the question people are asking us is, how long will this go, right? Will this go through 2021, 2020, 2023?
Global lockdown, effective safeguard to threat of corona. I'm going to share that article with you in a moment. Great reset and new digital currency. Today's guest, Collin Plume. Now, let me share with you a few statistics. Polling errors and voting inconsistencies, election lawsuits all lead to uncertainty. Uncertainty is great for gold, up almost 30% this year alone. Biden will rejoin Paris Climate Accord. This means greater green energy requirements and laws, higher demand for silver to use in eco-friendly systems, vehicles, and other products. Oil, airlines, and other sectors continue to lose money and shed jobs. Unemployment is soaring across America, as is the corona numbers. Bankruptcies, mortgage, credit card, auto, and student debt delinquencies are at an all-time high. Plans to increase stimulus means increased public debt, which stands at over $27 trillion, a 35% increase over the past 4 years. Now, the basic outlook is massive uncertainty and volatility, all of which is fantastic for precious metals as well as Bitcoin going forward. Today's guest is Collin Plume. Mr. Plume is a fan favorite. I have had multiple requests to get Collin back on the show. He's a personal friend of mine who creates and looks after wealth for his clients, advising them on strategy and the management of their assets. Over 15 years experience in property insurance, commercial real estate, and precious metals investments. Collin is well-versed and a fine-tuned machine when it comes to finance and economics. He has helped investors guard their wealth for years, and during the last recession, aligning clients' interests in retail shopping centers from California to the American heartland by making sure they averted financial ruin. It was also while researching recession and its effects for his clients that Collin discovered some very important books. The Creature from Jekyll Island, A Second Look at the Federal Reserve by G. Edward Griffin, and Economic Forecasts by libertarian author Ron Paul. These warned of the next financial crisis, predicting a far deeper and much more damaging scenario than any which has gone before. This research has led Collin to discover the inherent value of gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies that separate you from the controlled and centralized fiat fractionalized banking system. So, today's articles of discussion: the global lockdown, an effective safeguard in responding to the threat of COVID-19. I'm going to do a quick screen share with you. This is directly from the article. You can find this at Wiley Online Library. And this is the original paper, free access. Here are the authors right here. You can see all the authors. And this was published the 24th of September this year. And it's titled Global Lockdown, an Effective Safeguard in Responding to the Threat of COVID-19. Now, I'm just going to ask your opinion of this. You think that this is a smart thing to do? Is this the right thing to do? Your thoughts. Leave them in the comments section. Or maybe you're watching this live at leakproject.com, or maybe you're enjoying this at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/clandestine time lord. But here's the abstract. Rationale, aims, and objectives. The recent outbreak of corona has infected around 1,560,000 people till 10th of April 2020, which has resulted in 95,000 deaths globally. While no vaccine or antiviral drugs for COVID are available, lockdown acts as a protective public health measure to reduce human interaction and lower transmission. The study aims to explore the impact of delayed planning or lack of planning for the lockdown and inadequate implementation of the lockdown on the transmission rate of COVID. So I'm not going to get into what I think about this. I want to hear what you think about it. So definitely something, though, that I am aware of, and this is something that's being presented as a solution to shut everything down. Well, you know who would really like that? I think the World Economic Forum and the WHO would certainly enjoy that. Now, look at this. This is just my opinion, folks, but here's what it says directly from the WHO, or actually, this is from the World Economic Forum. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the COVID crisis to improve the state of the world. The World Economic Forum is starting the Great Reset Initiative. Oh, shut everything down, and then you could just reset everything. Well, what does that mean, Bob? Well, let's ask Business Standard here. Let's take a moment of pause and let's look at some happy news from Business Standard. U.S. presidential elections, gold headed for the biggest weekly gain since July. And also, will the second wave of Corona boost gold? This is from investorideas.com. And when Colin comes in, I'm going to talk to him about this. But there's been a recent minor dip in gold over the past 30 days. So it might be a great opportunity right now. If you look at gold over the past 6 months, it's gone up about 7%, very steady. If you look at it over the past 5 years, over 73%. Now let's look at cryptos in a moment, but I want to show you this. What's next for gold? We're going to ask Colin what he sees next for gold after this little dip, and now it's starting to move up again. Was this an opportunity to consolidate? This is very interesting. I think that this Great Reset Initiative is moving towards a digital currency, and this is from American Banker. A Fed digital currency looks inevitable. So do the problems. You don't say. So cryptocurrencies that are decentralized give us an option to stay out of a centralized system that could link us to a blockchain that could record all of our thoughts and emotions and only pay us when it deems we have done and thought what we were supposed to do and think. Now, this is CoinMarketCap. Let's do an update on this. Let's see what we've got over the past 24 hours. Bitcoin is smoking. I mean, whoa, $18,565 and change as of right now, according to CoinMarketCap. That's up over 14% the past 7 days. Let's go look at Litecoin, up 28%, over 28% the past 7 days. There are some amazing opportunities in cryptos as well. So that's one of the things I really appreciate about Noble Gold Investments is you can always move it into precious metals, you can move it into cryptos, you can move it back into stocks. It's all about options. And one of the cool things about Bitcoin, as I've told you so many times before, is you can be a part of something that is not centralized. And it's kind of like having a bank in your pocket if you've got your keys in your pocket. It's pretty cool. So I want to hear what Colin has to say, what he sees and projects over the next few weeks, over the next few months, over the next few days. I mean, are we going into a digital currency system? What's that going to mean for Bitcoin? And if we don't, what's it going to mean for Bitcoin? Wow, a lot going on, folks. And how do you feel about this global lockdown? And what's this going to do for the small businesses? What's it going to do for the big businesses? Billionaires are making billions of dollars during the outbreak, literally. What about you? Bring in Colin, talk to him. So happy. I got to say, Colin, thank you for sending me this 24 karat gold American Eagle coin. This is, I like showing it off, man. All right, do you have any of these left?
Maybe, possibly we do have some left. Yeah. That is a great coin. It's a limited edition coin. Great coin for gift. I would say usually this is the time of the year where people buy those for grandkids or relatives, because how many toys or how many different things can you buy them, and if you buy that for your 5 grandkids, that's something that's going to go up in value. Hopefully, help them if they decide to go to college down the road. So those quarter ounce or those 1/10 ounce gold coins are fantastic, and if you do an IRA with us, we're giving those coins away for free to anyone doing an IRA right now. So that's nice too. So
yeah, that's a bonus, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank you for doing that. I've had a few emails where people took advantage of that opportunity, and they said thanks. And I said, hey, thanks. Say thanks to Colin. He sent me one too. Now, I wanted to jump into the global lockdown and effective safeguard in responding to the threat of COVID. So. Sure. I mean, I'm not going to get into the science of it, but I want to talk about the economics. What is this going to do to many of these small businesses that have already gone through, one, lockdown. And this, now they're like maybe kind of running on fumes, and they've got another one to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean the whole COVID it was a devastating event that, when you look at the economy in general, you typically have these events that are going to happen every 7, 10, 12 years that will shape us for the future. Obviously, 2008 was the last time that we saw that kind of collapse in the markets and the bailouts, and that was something that had a significant shift. But that was the last time you really saw the economy sort of dip in terms of jobs, and in terms of, interest rates finally went up a little bit for a very short amount of time. And then now it's just we've been on this ride up with the stock market. And so now you've seen this situation where we've had this incredible unemployment. We've had the government's giving out the generosity, government generosity right now is at an all-time high, which is just another word for stimulus or loans or PPP, any way you want to put it. So the central banks and the governments are just throwing money out at the problems we're having. And they're sort of in a pickle because obviously they don't have tax revenue coming in right now. People's incomes are down, even if they're working. A lot of people aren't going to pay any taxes. So you have all these tremendous loans going out, all this tremendous money going out the door, and really not a lot of money coming back in. Kind of like, when you buy a house, it's like everything goes out the door and to get in that house. And then you're a month later, you sit around and you go, hey, I love this house, but I'm broke. That's what's happened with we're basically in a broke situation. We're $27 trillion in debt. It's up 36%. Our government debt is up 36% over the last 40 years. So central banks are in a pickle. They can't go any lower on interest rates. It's just how much lower can it get? So they're running out of ways to fix our economy. And I think the thing that's going to kick in pretty heavy next year is going to be inflation. We're going to see some pretty substantial inflation, food costs. I think a lot of the day-to-day things that people are buying are going to go up tremendously. So it's going to be a devastating year for that silent killer, which is inflation. They call it the silent killer because typically it happens every day in a very small amount. But I think even next year, it's not going to be that silent. I think the cost of goods is going to go up pretty substantially. And, so people are going, how do I shift? How do I make sure I'm protected? And so that's why I've really been kind of looking at 2021 and forecasting and trying to see where the trends are going to be with, if we do have this new president, where are things going to go? And I think there's a few things that you can kind of hang your hat on. One is we're probably going to go back into the Paris Agreement, the green energy, which a lot of people would say is a good thing. And, the one thing about that is anything green energy is silver is a big component of that. So I think silver is going to have a big position in where we're going with the new president as he takes office. I think that's one of the first things that President Biden will do. And then, just looking at the economy as a whole, will he raise taxes, not raise taxes? I think it's hard. It's going to be hard to raise taxes right now. I think that's pretty much out the way. As much as that's a fear out there, I don't think that's going to be feasible, unfortunately, to raise. I mean, most people can't afford to cover their, normal expenses. So I think we're going to see that shift. And then the thing that I've been really concerned about is the small investor and the micro buying that's been happening. So people buying a fraction of a stock or leveraging, Robinhood and all these apps where you can leverage money. I'm really concerned about the small investor right now who has got into the system because they want the piece of the American dream, but they don't realize that those mechanisms, when the markets turn the other way, they're going to lose substantially, unfortunately. So that's the one thing that I would say is people really need to watch out for when they're looking at some of these strategies. Like Charles Schwab has a situation where you can buy $5 into Tesla stock, but they don't realize that if you did $5 every month to get to that $1,000 stock, you're going to pay a small fee every time. That small fee is going to end up being a very large fee over time. So these are things that people need to watch. There's no get rich quick. It just doesn't, it's not out there. All the tried and true investments, all the investments that we do, they grow over time, and it takes patience.
Now, you have been extremely busy lately. I know that because of the situation, I mean, gold and silver and even cryptos have just been extremely hot. But I was looking at Bitcoin today at over $18,000,
Yeah.
and it just shot up. And I felt it. I knew it was going to happen. We've been talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like that's the opposing faction to a system that's completely like this digital currency that is being promoted. There's technologies to go with a digital currency that is centralized. So I don't think everybody understands the difference between Bitcoin and centralized digital currency. Bitcoin is like the opposing faction. It's almost like the
Correct.
balancing effect, in my opinion,
Correct.
right now.
Yeah, like if the Federal Reserve came out and they did a reset of the dollar, that would be a centralized currency, even if it's digital. And I think that's where you're going with that. Whereas Bitcoin can't be centralized because it's not controlled by any one entity, and it can't be controlled by any. It's, you know, when Bitcoin gets traded, there's miners that verify that transaction through a sophisticated mathematical formulation, and that's what keeps it independent of control. And that's why, to kind of go back to, you know, the last really devastating thing in our economy, 2008, Bitcoin came about in 2009. It was, a lot of people believe, a reaction to the bank bailouts in 2008, because as much as everyday people struggled in 2008, people that bought a home and then potentially lost it, the banks did not have that same type of economic situation because they got bailed out. So the creators, a lot of people believe the creators of Bitcoin were creating this as a reaction that, hey, we want a currency that if you can't just get bailed out. So there's no bailout for Bitcoin, right? The bigger picture is that everybody gets an opportunity to get into a currency that is not going to lose tremendous value over time. And, you know, people compare Bitcoin and gold, and I think there's a lot of good comparisons there. But, you know, when you look at these, the reason Bitcoin became so popular this year, the reason gold went up, one of the reasons was it has a limited supply. It's an alternative currency to the debt-laden currency that we have, this fiat money we have in the U.S. People, even bond traders are buying Bitcoin. Even bond traders are buying gold. I have a lot of clients in New York that all they do is handle large endowments, the biggest endowments in the world. And they told me in March that gold will be one of the great investments. They believe that Bitcoin will be one of the great investments in 2020. And these are people that don't necessarily aren't looking at it. And the reason they knew it is because bond traders said, I'm going to get out of the bond market right now. They're going to get money cheap. I'm going to move into gold. Gold is the natural place to go during this situation. So the question people are asking us is, how long will this go, right? Will this go through 2021 and 2020, 2023? And I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but here's what I do know. This year was the biggest buying of gold in the last quarter of central banks than we've seen in almost 10 years. Germany, Poland, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, a few other countries that I can't think of right now, all bought a tremendous amount of gold this year. It's a big buying of gold. And so you have to ask yourself, if a central bank is willing to buy gold at a 27% increase from the year before, they must think that the price is going to be good going forward. They must still believe that it's still a value play for them as a central bank. So you have that sort of dynamic happening out there. They believe it. Then you have Bank of America in April this year saying that gold's going to hit 3,000. You know, right now we're in the mid 1850s. Gold did go to 2060 at one point. Now it's back down, and had a little bit of a pullback. But, you know, Bank of America, no reason they should recommend gold, right? Can you go to Bank of America and buy a gold bar? No. Why would they recommend it? They recommend it because they think that's where things are going to go. They believe that it's a good asset to own. So you have these big players out there that are loving gold right now. They're loving alternative currencies. And I just don't think that that's a short-term belief. I think people believe that these investments are going to be good for some time. And yes, the stock market's still booming. It's still at these great numbers. But I think a lot of people still believe there's going to be a pullback there. So, having some gold as a hedge is smart. And I love where silver is sitting. Obviously I loved it at $14 when it hit in March and, bought a tremendous amount, but I still love silver at this price. I still think everything green energy, they need silver. We don't have enough silver to keep up. If the whole United States goes to solar panels, they do not have enough silver right now above ground to fulfill that obligation. So it's an exciting time. It really is. And I love the idea, Rex, of looking to the future, especially in a horrible year like this, where people want to put that year behind them. This is a great time with the holidays to sit down, look at your portfolio, look at your options and say, where are things going to go next year? And can I be ahead of that? Because everything is changing. More people working from home, cars, people aren't driving as much. A lot of these things, I was talking to somebody about a car. I guarantee you next month is probably the best month in history to buy a car, because they're going to be worked. People are not buying cars the way they used to, but if you need one, you could probably next month get one of the greatest deals you're ever going to need, because those dealerships need to unload those cars. And I'm not in the car business, so don't, but I'm just saying there's some deals there, because why not? Why wouldn't there? They got to move that inventory, right? They got the new ones coming in. So I think there's a lot of exciting opportunities for people next year, or people going into last quarter this year and the next year. So I'm excited, as I've been in a long time, about this stuff.
Yeah, there's some great opportunities, but there's also a lot of people that are just extremely nervous, and they're not looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. They're just, they're stuck in the dark. And I want to talk about this for a minute, because with the numbers shooting up like they are with Bitcoin and with Ethereum and with Litecoin, and a lot of different cryptos, but those three are looking extremely well right now, as well as gold. Is it next? Are we at a point now where you see that there's still a nice run? Do you see it could get even a lot more bright next year?
Yeah, I do think we'll see some kind of correction in Bitcoin, because we are in a historic run. I don't know if it'll be before we hit 20,000, because that was the all-time high before, but I do think we'll see some kind of correction in Bitcoin. And I think the psychological battle of $10,000 Bitcoin was big, and we talked about that. Now we're well above that. So I don't know if it'll ever go below there again, but I will say that I do think we'll see some kind of correction in Bitcoin, maybe down to 12 or 13. But it's creating a lot of floors for itself. And I don't think PayPal taking Bitcoin as a currency, I don't even think that effect has even happened really yet. I know Bitcoin has gone up a lot, but the amount of people that use that service, for that trail to happen in just a month or two is not realistic. I think that's going to have an even bigger effect on PayPal and Bitcoin and how things are working. So I'm excited about where we're going, and I think Bitcoin is. I know you've been a big proponent of cryptos, and I love a lot of our clients right now are selling some of their Bitcoin and getting into gold or silver, or some are just cashing out in their IRAs because they're at such tremendous gains. And so that's obviously very exciting that they're in a profit position, and that's what it's all about, is minimizing your risk. And if you have a good profit, we have clients that bought Bitcoin in the 3,700 range. So some of them are taking profits, and that's so beautiful, especially in the IRA. They can just go into cash and then decide what they want to do. So we're definitely excited about that.
Oh, that's great. Now, with the Corona situation and with these small businesses going under and different industries changing and shifting, That reminds me a lot of 2007, right? As far as the markets go. But here's the big difference. The stock market is looking hot. Back in 2007, 2008, it took a huge hit. And the crypto market, that's like a whole new industry that's been added to these different money markets.
Yeah.
So it's kind of going hand in hand now. People are staying at home, and now they've got opportunities at home on their computer to do things, and then also the transportation industry might be a good, great opportunity right now too.
Yeah, well, and I think when you look at the price of things going up, I think you also have to look that our buying power is also equally going down as much. So I think it's not all, we're not living in a silo where it's just like the value of everything is going up, and yet where our buying power is also going the same route. Our buying power is dropping. The value of our dollar is dropping. So, as much as, these gains are sort of great in a lot of ways, people have to understand that what it costs to buy things has also gone up pretty dramatically too. Especially, you look at, the housing market, that's being propped up by, artificially low interest rates, right? That's why your neighbor's home has gone up 10, 15, 20% over the last year. It's just because the money is cheap. It has nothing to do with, that the value of your home is that much higher. It's just the dollar isn't really worth as much. So it's all relative in that way. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is being able to be and keep up, right? Is being able to keep up with that increased cost of living. And that's the name of the game right now, is being able to keep your cost of living down, and then being able to keep up with the increase in prices and everything that's going to happen next year. Because you can't have all this money go out from the government and not see inflation next year. It's impossible. So it's going to come in a lot of different forms, and people just have to be prepared for it.
So somebody's got an IRA or a 401. They call you up and they convert it into gold, as an example. How long does that take?
Average rollover in an IRA is 7 to 12 business days. Could be a few days faster. A lot of it has to do with the custodian that the client has. What we've done is we have a team that basically walks you through the paperwork, gets it all signed, and then once we send the paperwork over to wherever your money is, we contact them to help them kind of move it along, because obviously that custodian has no incentive to send your money over. So, we try to, just stay on top of them and prod them along. And so that's a big part of our team. We have a full team that works. We have a 7-day-a-week team that does paperwork. And then 5 days a week, we call custodians to help move funds over. So that's a full staff for us here at Noble Gold, because we know we want to make it easy for people, and when they want to move their money, they want to do it quick. So we've streamlined that process, and everyone's here in the U.S. and people are always pleasantly surprised when they can talk to a live person to help them. So that's really important to us, to be available to people. And once they move the funds over, they can buy gold, silver, platinum, palladium, one of the metals, all of them. They can buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, all within the same account. So that's fantastic. And it's pretty easy process. No leveraged accounts. They own it. It's theirs, which we like. And that's the thing I love about precious metals, is that it's one of the few assets that people own that doesn't have any debt. There's no, it's not like buying, some kind of stock that maybe the corporation has debt, or, this is an asset, an investment that you own that's debt free. And I think in today's day and age, that's important.
Man, I'm going all like Dungeons and Dragons and Legends of Zelda, thinking about, like, dude, you've got options: palladium, platinum, gold, silver, Bitcoin. And it's so cool. I'm like, yeah, power up, power up, power up. I
Get
like
that wand.
Yeah. Woo. So it's ascension, man. Right on. So I think that's great. I really like the options, and I thank you for that. And actually, a friend of mine and a friend of Kristen's, we've known him for a while. They placed a substantially large order a while ago, and they got their order. They were so happy, but I remember she said, "Man, I was a little bit nervous the first couple of days, and it got there really quick, but it was such a big order, and it came via mail, right? That she's like waiting at the door to sign off."
Sure.
And they got it. She got it. They're super happy. But I just thought that was funny the way that she's like, yeah. And she told me how much she ordered by mail. And I was like, wow, that's
yeah.
So,
I think that's the thing is that it's an unscripted package. Nobody knows what you're getting. We call you when the tracking numbers, when the metals are going. And but yeah, I mean, it's the last bit of liquid wealth that's kind of out there, right? I mean, now your friend has it. It's hers. It's in her possession. It's private. It's everything that she wants, and she can, put it in the safe or hide it, and then give it to grandkids or whoever she wants, over time. And it's really beautiful that we can do that, and it's hers. She doesn't have to worry. That's what I like about this business. I've always liked is that we send it to you, or we store it for you if you need it to be stored. But at the end of the day, it's it's something that's yours, and you own it. So
right on. Well, I can hear something in the background there, and I know you're working out of the house, and you've got a lot going on, and you've got company there. And thank you for spending time with us here at Leak Project, and thanks for the American Eagle gold coin.
My absolute pleasure. And if anybody wants to give us a call, 877-646-5347. They're going to get a lot of good advice, no pressure. And, we're here to help. So if anyone just has any questions, we're always available. And thanks so much, Rex. We appreciate it.
Right on. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Hit the bell. Be well. Also, subscribe to the Noble Gold YouTube channel. And there's some great podcasts there also. Be the change you want to see.